I know it really seems like with every YouTube video I post, there's just some kind of internal issue that I have to work through, and I work through it externally on camera by making a YouTube video. What else is there to say? My name is Smallwood. I have a bachelor's degree in neuroscience. At school, they did teach us about anxiety, but yet they didn't teach us how to deal with it. So what the heck? I'm just dealing with a lot of stress recently. Like this whole, I'm not going to get into particulars because I've done that before, and that has wreaked a little bit of havoc on my inner life. My boyfriend's family is here to visit for this entire week, and then we're going to go see my mom for the first time this weekend. My mom. We're gonna meet my mom for the first time this weekend. Not me, but him. And I originally had another neuroscience video planned for this week, but I was just like, I can't get myself to do this because all I'm doing this week are these 5 things that I'm gonna tell you about to reduce your anxiety. Backed with science. Oh yes. Sorry, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm gonna tie my hair up. It feels much more liberating. Well, I haven't been diagnosed with anxiety, but it has gotten to a point where I feel like maybe I should go see someone. So these are 5 things that you can do to stop those terrible feelings from encroaching on your mind and sending you down a vicious spiral that makes you want to find better ways to live. Journaling. I bought myself one that is the exact same color as my wall. Look, it like melds into it. It's like, you can't even see that it's there. I personally have always felt a little bit better after journaling, and I feel like other people do too, but I wanted to get the actual meat of that, the actual research behind it. So this meta-analysis reviewed 20 different trials to see if journaling had any kind of positive effect on your mood, on your affect, positive effect on your affect. Oh my god. Positive effect on your affect? I don't even know what they found was that it typically helps more with anxiety and PTSD instead of depression. For depression, gratitude journaling does really work to increase your positive mood, so you could try that if you're feeling a little bit depressive maybe. But I do think the reason behind why anxiety in particular is really targeted well with journaling is because anxiety is based off of completely unfounded fears. Just completely unfounded fears. Like when you start journaling and you start writing about it and you start thinking about it a little bit critically and you see your words reflected back onto you, you're like, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit worrisome for no reason. Or maybe for reasons that are not as big as I think that they are. That's my hypothesis on it, although I haven't been able to find any definitive data on the brain's relationship with journaling in particular. A lot of thinkers and article writers have suggested that it kind of hijacks your amygdala by promoting more activity in the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala promotes a lot of your body's responses to emotions. Like that one will be the one that tells the hypothalamus to release cortisol in your body, which is the stress hormone, so you feel stressed. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that response is necessary, other times it's a bit too much. Like, do you see this neck muscle right here? Do you see how it's popping out? Like, you can see all of the definition. You can see all the striations and everything. Bro, that's the freaking cortisol. So when journaling comes in and you're really starting to think about all the different emotions that you're feeling, the prefrontal cortex is activated in a way that helps us because it's the one that does a lot of like the higher level processing that really makes us human. One part of the prefrontal cortex, which is the ventral medial part, can send messages back to the amygdala to be like, stop. Miss PFC tells the amygdala that. The amygdala is like, oh, I've been checked. I've been balanced. She's not telling the hypothalamus to release cortisol in your body anymore. That gets your muscles all tense, that gets your heart racing, that gets your blood pressure high, and you feel better. You feel better now. Yes, sometimes our frontal lobes will be on our side, sometimes they're not. It really just depends. Like, our frontal lobes can be the ones that have us overthinking and anticipating all these different terrible outcomes for some certain event that's going to happen to you soon, but you have to hijack them. You literally have to hijack them to think about something else or to like give them a reality check to be like, okay, everything's okay. I wish it wasn't like that, but sometimes the onus really is on you to fix that. Your location just dropped. It's the bedroom. Okay, anyways. I don't like to bring you guys in here because it's so bare, but then I realized the bareness of it is really, it's really what helps me calm down whenever I want to read a book or something like that. And I was like, if I want you guys to calm down, then I gotta bring you into my calm space where there is nothing here. It's really just because I haven't gotten the time to decorate it yet. But I have my laptop out here because I need my notes, okay? Reading, my beloved. I love reading so much. A couple of researchers, they ran a study and they had participants read for 30 minutes. What they found? Lower systolic blood pressure. lower diastolic blood pressure, lower heart rate. Boom. I mean, that's pretty easy there. It's not very neuroscientific, but the psychological thing's all there. What more do you want from me? I'm just kidding. I'm going to give you a little bit more. You're welcome. To get a little bit more neuroscience-y about it, there are fMRI studies out there that have looked into what parts of the brain are active while you're reading, and there are a lot of different parts in the brain that are active while you're reading because it's a very cognitive experience, you know, like the language comprehension area, like Wernicke's area is going to be active. Was that right? Wernicke's versus Broca's? I never remember. That is language comprehension. Boom. But that has nothing to do with anxiety. The default mode network is one of the interconnected systems in your brain that activate while reading, and often it is turned on when you're like relaxing. But in this one paper that I found, they attributed its activity to like focusing on what you're reading and comprehending the narrative. That's all they said there, so I'm the one left to do the rest of the interpreting. I think because it focuses your attention on this narrative in particular, it's like, shoop. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shoop. While you're reading this, you're kind of forgetting about the outside world, everything around you, and all of your pathetic little problems. Like I said, I also like being in this room too because I want my mind to be so blank, so devoid of any kind of stimulation that I can just focus on what's right in front of me. I can calm down here a little bit. I might leave it undecorated for that reason. Now, personally, I do think that you can abuse reading. I do think that you can abuse it to the point of escapism, so you gotta be kind of careful with it. Because if you're reading like 5 books a day or something like that, and I'm not exaggerating, there's some crazy book talk bitches that will be doing that. I don't know if they're gaining any of the information that they're reading, but they're doing it. If you're reading so much to the point that you're not even forming a thought of your own, you're not processing your emotions, you're just ignoring them, and it's going to come back up later, and probably a little bit more of an explosive way than if you just gave yourself a little bit more time outside of reading. Don't make it escapism, okay? Use it in moderation and be a little bit mindful with it. And that's all I gotta say on that. Guilty pleasure alert. Okay, stick with me though, because I'm a conscious consumer. I am. I can go overboard, but I am. No, I really am. To make my point here, I'm gonna play this clip from resident diva, Dr. Susan Albers, on the news. It's from Fox News, so don't go getting your panties in a twist, okay?
Albers explains mental health has a lot to do with it.
Compulsive shopping goes hand in hand with emotions and mental health. It's often a way of coping with stress, anxiety, and depression. Spending is one way that we can fill the emotional void, escape from negative emotions, and give us a temporary boost of feeling pleasure in our life.
Dr. Albers, who's a psychologist, says when you buy something, the neurotransmitter dopamine is released into your brain, making you feel good. The enjoyment you get from the experience, not so much the item. Dr. Albers.
Okay, hold on a second there. Did you hear that? Not the enjoyment, the fucking, oh, I already forgot what they said. The enjoyment of the experience, not so much of the item. So if you're like me and you enjoy shopping, you might even be a impulsive shopper. I don't know what the difference between those two words are. Compulsive versus impulsive. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you're both, you could be both. Well, I have found the most joyous way to tap into my love of shopping and gathering. It's a very feminine trait that goes back centuries ago. Millennia ago. That's a reference to Banana's Patreon, if you know her. Well, honestly, it's because of Banana's Patreon, her wish lists, and her curated Friday finds that I don't know if I will share on the screen unless they're public, because I want to respect the Patreon, right? I have realized that I, too, can reap the benefits of shopping without shopping using Dr. Albers' psychology. Every time I see an item that I like, I take a picture of it, go to the photos, press and hold down on the item so that the background is removed, go to my notes, paste that picture inside of my notes app, and then I have a beautiful curated collection of all of the items that I want in there. This really scratches an itch in me that used to only be scratched with shopping. And it is so satisfying to have all of my finds in just one place. Before, I often bought something because I feared that I would lose it forever. But now I can stay in here and I continue reaping the dopamine off of the process. Like Dr. Albers said, these happy chemicals are released more throughout the process of shopping, not so much at the purchase of it. So you know how you can lengthen that experience is just to never buy it and to keep it inside of your wish list forever. She mentioned in another interview that it's a lot of the visualization that actually creates the positive anticipation of receiving that item that reduces our anxiety. So, you know, you can keep it on your beautifully curated notes app, like how I have it, or maybe you have a separate app for something like that. And then you can reflect back on it like a vision board. And that brings me so much joy and peace for some reason. A very consumerist person. I love material things, sorry. Well, welcome to this corner of my world. You don't come here often. You should come here over more. This one is not so neuroscience-y, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. In the fall semester of my senior year, I took a relaxation fitness course where we did a lot of yoga, a little bit of Pilates, and then a lot of like meditative practices, but there is one that I have to bring from that course to you. You probably know about it already, but if you don't, you have to implement it. I'm telling you right now, nothing works better than this if you really need a little bit of peace in a pinch. These are my savior. They're breathing exercises. So simple, and yet I never thought to do them until my fall semester of senior year of college, which was a year ago. And I can't even tell you how much that has helped me. There are a bunch of different breathing practices out there, but my favorite is box breathing. Well, let me do the little diagram. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then repeat. A little boxy pattern. Yeah, does that make sense? And that always calms me down. I remember this one time later in the year, I had to give a presentation and I was so nervous, so terribly nervous, I didn't think I was going to be able to speak. So I just started silently doing box breathing during the other people's presentations. I felt so much better. I feel like we often overlook the brain-body interaction, often like letting our brain just do whatever it wants to our body. Like if it wants to release cortisol, then we're just going to get super stressed and our muscles are going to be tense and our heart's going to be racing, but we don't often think about the fact that we can control what happens to our body and send that back up to the brain. And that's what breathing exercises do. The fuck? So what am I? Real quick, this also works for exercise too, obviously. Breathing is a much easier way to utilize the body part of the brain-body interaction. Much easier and much quicker, I feel like. The reason behind this, one research suggested that breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, which can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest, right? All my little neuroscience girls out there, yeah. But specifically the vagus nerve's activation of GABA pathways. GABA is the inhibitory chemical in the brain. So when the vagus nerve is activating the GABA pathways from the prefrontal cortex to the amygdala, kind of similar to how it did with journaling, right? The prefrontal cortex can shut down amygdala overactivity. Not kind of like it was with journaling, the exact same way it was with journaling. So just like we talked about earlier, when Miss PFC says stop the amygdala, she listens. I currently have a free trial to this mood regulation app called Schmoody, and it is really nice right now. They have a bunch of breathing exercises there, just all in the same place, a couple binaural beats and stuff like that, and it's so nice just to have it all in one place. And I don't want the free trial to end, because then I'm gonna have to pay $55. So if you have an app like that, or maybe even a YouTube playlist that has a bunch of different like guided breathing exercises, guided meditations, that can definitely help you a lot, like get back in touch with your body. Speaking of getting back in your body, and I'm being very honest and truthful when I say this, crafting. This is very somatosensory, and by somatosensory I mean engaging your senses. Like it really just takes you out of the spiral and goes shoop, shoop, focusing on the thing that you're doing, you know? Senses are very important in grounding yourself. That's why whenever like somebody's freaking out, or a child is freaking out, or even like an adult on the verge of a panic attack or something like that, something that you often say to help them is like, okay, can we point 5 things out that we can see, 4 things that we can touch, 3 things that we can, you know what I'm saying? Regrounding your senses is like moving your mind back into your body. Does that make sense? And when you're crafting, you're engaging your sight, you're engaging your touch, which is 2 more, maybe 1 more sense than you would be using. I don't know what senses you're using on the regular. And the special thing about crafting, in comparison to the other things that we've talked about, is that it doesn't just activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, but also the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, which you would be like, why would that be something that calms me down? But like, hold on a second. Crafting is just arousing enough so you can carry out your vision efficiently. I mean, like if you were completely resting, a la parasympathetic nervous system, then your fingers probably wouldn't be crocheting in the pattern of the crochet I don't know how crocheting works, but it's an example of a craft. But sustained concentration on a particular task, hello sympathetic nervous system, is associated with a relaxed state. Hello parasympathetic. I have data to back this up. There's a study that they did with EEG. Specifically, they were measuring frontal midline theta rhythm, just like the rhythm of these waves. I'm gonna call them FM theta waves so that we can just like blah. But FM theta waves are what is measured to quantify a subject's focus on a task or something. So these researchers brought the participants in, had them do some crafts all while recording their FM theta waves, which they were recording by attaching a bunch of little electrodes onto them. Isn't that so fun? And what they found was that these FM theta waves were positively correlated to both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So kind of like what I was saying, kind of like we can attribute it to a combined concentrated and relaxed state. So if you are feeling anxious, but maybe your body's feeling a little bit too jittery, you're feeling a little bit too fidgety, one thing that can help you is crafting. Maybe you can color, you can crochet. I'm doing something with my friend tomorrow night. I don't know if I'll include it in the B-roll. Maybe I won't. I probably won't. We're making little fridge magnets out of polymer clay. Saw that on TikTok. I was like, yes, I want to do that. So that's gonna be fun. Anything that kind of engages your hands in a productive way, that can really help with your anxiety. So, yeah. Okay, my sweet subscribers. And for any non-subscribers watching this, you don't get the sweet in front of it unless you subscribe. Those are the 5 things that I like to do that really help calm me down. Both wanted to remind myself and remind you that there are things out there that you can do to calm yourself down. I'm sure that there are more out there that are definitely also scientifically supported, but you know, it always helps to have a little bit of evidence here and there with the things that I do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you did. Otherwise, what's the point? I didn't gain anything from this. How dare you? Sayonara. I will see you later. I love all you guys that watch my videos. Thank you for being so sweet. And here's some kisses. I love you very much. Goodbye.